Hey everyone, Jim Gonzalez here, EDI Support. So what I want to do today is I want to talk about the 10 EDI implementation steps that I believe in for selecting the appropriate EDI service or EDI solution that makes sense for you. So step number one, of course, is figuring out which type of EDI service do you want to go with. Do you want to go with a service that's going to be on-prem? Do you want to go with one that's going to be a managed service? Or do you want a hosted solution that's in the cloud? Or do you want to, So a lot of times you have to sit down and you have to think about internally, how is your organization set up? Do you have EDI knowledge on staff? Do you have things that you need to do for hosting a server or setting up a physical server or any of those type of things to figure out which EDI service truly makes sense? If you want the hands-off approach, of course, managed service, but make sure it's managed service to the level that you're looking for. Like if you get chargebacks, well, who's responsible for that? If you start to lose revenue, who's responsible for that? What's the support method that you're going to get? Like, are you going to get phone calls, emails? What are the different things? What are response times? And some of that goes across the different things that you have. If it's on-prem, and you're doing it and handling it yourself, then of course you handle all of that. You got to ask your development team that's providing you that tool set or that product, hey, how quick are you to get back to us if we have a system down and we need to reach out to support as that second level? You need to find out those things. So what are their response times for getting back to you? Just like managed services, what are their response times? What all are they covering? What all are they responsible for? Of course, we can go further into depth into all those different discussions and figuring out which model makes sense for you. But it's a question and answer session, and it's going to be sometimes extended questions and answers. You might not be able to get that answer right out the gate. And if you hit a salesperson that's trying to force you to make that decision, well, guess what? It's not going to work. A lot of times your salespeople don't know what the implementers are doing or the technical staff is doing. They're just looking to get a deal done, sold, off their plate, and get their commission and move on to the next person. So essentially you're like a number. But it's figuring out which type of EDI service you're looking to do. The next thing that you want to do is, of course, you want to obtain contacts at those EDI trading partners that you're looking to do business with. So you figured out what you want to use, and now you need to figure out who do you need to talk to at those different trading partners. So whether it's interacting with an Amazon, a Walmart, any of those type of things, you have to get the contact information. From that contact information, the next thing that you need to do, unless you have your provider doing these things, is you need to get the guidelines. So what documents are we going to be exchanging? Which documents are mandatory? Which documents are not mandatory? And going through all of that to figure out what do we need to take care of. Now again, this might lead into part of your EDI services, because guess what? Maybe your managed services doesn't handle all the documents that are mandated by your trading partners. So some of these steps, they're gonna interact with each other. They're not a streamlined. It's not a, oh, well, I'm going to put this in place because this is what Jim told me to do with his years of experience. He has to be on point. No, some of these steps are going to move. They're moving steps. So there's steps that maybe you get an answer to, and you might have to get another piece. Like, hey, I need to, because this answer gave me another question, or this question led me into an answer, which it's all convoluted. But if you have the right partner and you have the right people that you work with, we can help you navigate those waters and figure those things out. These are simply steps amongst the process of implementing an EDI service, an EDI project, bringing it on, switching it out, whatever it may be. The next thing that you want to do is you want to figure out, hey, what's our connectivity? Are you going to be emailing those documents? Are they going to be on FTP, AS2? How are those documents getting to you or from you to them? Is it an API? Who knows? Like, these are the different things that you have to figure out. So how are we now communicating with that said trading partner? So you have to repeat this process for each said trading partner. because it might be different for each trading partner, but you have to figure those things out. Do you need a van service? Do you need to set up with a van? Because maybe this is totally new and you don't have a van service or an EDI mailbox that you interact with, and your solution doesn't store the EDI data, so you have no historical information. So again, navigating with the right partner and person and consulting group, EDI support, we're here to help you. The next piece that you want to do is, of course, you want to outline that EDI document flow. So you want to know, if you're doing those documents, how are they going to flow with your current business process? I seem to always tell people, again, listen, act as though you're doing these things manually. If you can do them manually, now let's look to automate them with a trading partner. Let's look to communicate with a trading partner. Let's look to do these interfaces in an automated, or as automated as we can get, solution. If you have the manual process already in play and you've already had that figured out, well, lining in how your EDI flow is going to work shouldn't be that hard. But if you don't have that, figured out, well, guess what? You have to figure that out. Whether it's working with EDI support or working with your ERP or working with a consulting group or working with all these different moving parts in different organizations, you have to figure out how is the documents going to move in and out of the various systems that you have in place to interact with your outside trading partner. Because if they give you a mandated document and you're not doing that mandated document, most of the times you're going to lose revenue, you're going to get chargebacks, you're going to do all these things that are not going to be good for your business. So outline. The next flow that you want to do is, of course, you want to test all of those internal document flows first. Not last, first. Let's make sure that these things can flow through in and out of your systems correctly. So if you have multiple systems, see, some people are as complex as having, an ERP, a WMS, and a TMS. All depends on what you're doing. Are you a manufacturer, distributor, wholesaling, warehousing your products? Are you doing all these different things? Well, guess what? You need to figure out how they're going to interact. So let's figure out how those are going to interact throughout the system. Let's figure out those internal document flows. So you need to work through those. The other thing that you need to do is you need to figure out, let's setting up a scheduling of a testing date and test connectivity. So when we're going through and we're doing that scheduling, we need to make sure that all our internal and external parties are involved. So everybody's aware, especially if it's the first time you're doing this, aware of what's going on. Don't have EDI being an afterthought. Too many organizations do that. Too many organizations move from one ERP to another, and they're like, oh, we forgot about EDI, or oh, we forgot about our e-commerce. Well, hello? 90% or 80% of your business, if you're already doing EDI, is flowing through EDI methods. Well, you need to account for that. Don't let that fall to the wayside and then you're scrambling after the fact to go, oh, well, we forgot about it. Because, that's just a small piece of our business. It's really not. It's not when most people analyze and sit down and look how much is truly being handled through automation or EDI processing. So you want to get all those dates scheduled out. The next thing that you want to do is you want to do your EDI document processing with internal users testing and trading partner document approval. So as I call that, end-to-end testing. So if we're looking at an order and an order comes from our trading partner into our solution, if it's an EDI solution, into the ERP, from the ERP to our EDI solution, to the trading partner. Make sure it flows all the way through. You do your integrations, you make sure your interfaces, you make sure everybody's saying, hey, things look good. Everything's there. The formats are good. Trading partners are giving you approval. Internal processing and business entities are giving you approval. Everybody gives you approval from an end-to-end test of a document, along with the formats being signed off on. So now a lot of trading partners will, they'll give you rejections, they'll do all of those things, they'll do everything that they need to do, but there's some EDI platforms or implementers where they say, hey, we don't need to do EDI, we don't need to do end-to-end, I don't need to test into your ERP, I can do that through our own solution. Well, guess what? When they do that, they're stopping you from success because they just have it working with the platform. Do you plan on going into the platform and printing off your documents, hand keying them into the ERP, then when you do a shipment, going back into the platform, typing in your shipment and sending it out and doing all those things in a manual scenario, interacting with the EDI solution or EDI platform? Well, guess what? Most of the times, no. It's not what you brought it on for. You brought it on for automation. So you better do end-to-end testing and sign-offs amongst everybody involved. Trading partners, business entities, all of them. Get it all done. The next thing that you want to do is you want to prepare to go production or go live. However you want to state it, you need to prepare your internal staff so that they know what's going on, what's going to happen. So like a lot of times, if you're in a retail space, you're invoicing. So instead of emailing those invoices anymore, now they're going to go through EDI. Trading partner doesn't want it twice. Some do for a time period, but once it's up and it's running, they don't want it coming to them twice because now it caused them mass havoc on their system. So they just want it to go one time, straight through the flow. But you have to make sure every person knows. So your warehouse knows if they're responsible for something. Your carrier knows. Your transportation company knows. If you're the transportation company of your own products, you know. If you're healthcare and you're doing your payments that way, well, guess what? You want to make sure everybody is aware and prepared to go production live. So you want everybody to know those pieces. The next thing that you have to do, and the final thing, which has a lot of involvement, is now that you're live, well, guess what? Now we need to do error monitoring. So we need to make sure our documents are flowing. We need to make sure everything's being accepted. We need to see if there's any hiccups that are occurring throughout the system. Now, it all comes down to your different models and how you're set up. Are you set up that emails are sent out to when an error occurs, it goes out to a distribution group. You have an outside source that takes a look at things. Do you have a managed service provider that's supposed to be looking at things? Who's responsible for making sure that those documents get to that trading partner or get integrated from that trading partner into your back-end system? They need to be monitoring, especially the first flows. First 30 days are huge to make sure everything's going through and that nothing's been missed amongst the business rules. Because there are things that are missed during business rules. You can do as much end-to-end testing and then you get the, oh, well, we forgot to add this discount, or we forgot they get this charge. We forgot all these things. Well, during the error monitoring, guess what? You're going to figure those things out and you're going to figure them out quick, especially if you're in retail and you're not getting paid for your invoices, or those invoices aren't posting to the portal to get paid. A lot of times it comes down to cash flow, or it comes down to chargebacks. It comes down to all of those different things. But when you're working with the right group and the right partners that can lead you to the pathway of success and limit the errors that are occurring and limit all of those things and reduce the timeline as much as possible in getting things up and running, it makes you a lot more efficient.